Hello, friend. Welcome to Science for Sleep. Whether you have returned tonight or you are discovering this quiet channel for the first time, this is a calm place to slow down, learn something gentle, and let the day slowly loosen its hold. Tonight, we are going to rest among the eucalyptus trees with one of the most familiar animals in Australia, the koala. At first glance, a koala can seem almost too soft to be real. A round grey body tucked into the fork of a tree, large fluffy ears catching the light, a smooth black nose resting above a quiet mouth, small eyes half closed, as if the whole animal has been made for stillness. It is easy to understand why people often call it a koala bear. But the koala is not a bear at all. It is a marsupial, which means it belongs to the same broad group as kangaroos, wallabies, possums, and wombats. A bear gives birth to young that develop inside the mother for a longer time. A marsupial gives birth much earlier. A newborn koala is tiny, hairless, blind, and only about the size of a jelly bean. Then it crawls into its mother's pouch, where it continues growing in warmth and safety. So even before we look at the leaves, the trees, or the sleepy way it spends its days, the koala is already stranger than its gentle face suggests. It is not a little bear in the branches. It is a pouch-raised mammal from a very old Australian branch of life. And that branch has led it into one of the most unusual diets of any mammal. If you enjoy these quiet journeys, you're welcome to subscribe. And if it feels natural, to leave a comment sharing where you're listening from tonight. It helps others find their way to this calm corner of the world, one sleepy traveler at a time. Now picture that koala again, still resting in the pale green leaves, still pressed gently against the tree. The leaves around it look simple. Long, narrow, grey-green eucalyptus leaves hanging in clusters under the Australian sky. But eucalyptus is not an easy food. The leaves are tough and full of fibre. They do not hold much usable energy compared with fruit, seeds, or tender shoots. They also contain strong natural oils and plant chemicals that many animals avoid. If you have ever smelled eucalyptus oil, sharp and clean, almost medicinal, you have noticed part of what makes these leaves so chemically powerful. For many animals, that sharpness is a warning. For the koala, it is dinner. A koala spends its life doing something very few mammals can do well. It turns hard, low-energy, chemical-rich leaves into movement, warmth, growth, and sleep. Inside its body, special digestion helps make this possible. Part of the koala's large intestine, called the cecum, works like a slow chamber where tiny microbes help break down the tough plant material. Microbes are living things too small to see without a microscope. They help unlock some of the energy trapped in the leaves. This process takes time. It is slow work, and slow work shapes a slow life. That is one reason koalas rest so much. They are not simply lazy. Their stillness is part of the design. A koala may spend many hours each day sleeping or resting because every movement costs energy, and its food does not give much energy back quickly. The quiet body in the tree is saving what it can. The lowered head, the curled limbs, the long pause between bites, all of it belongs to an animal carefully living within the limits of its food. And there is another quiet truth resting behind this soft image. In parts of eastern Australia, including Queensland, New South Wales, and the Australian Capital Territory, koalas were listed as endangered in 2022. That does not mean every koala everywhere has vanished, but it does mean that some populations have been pushed into a fragile place by habitat loss, drought, disease, fire, roads, and the steady breaking apart of forests. So the koala is not only a symbol of calm, it is also a reminder that a life can look peaceful from a distance, while depending on many delicate things holding together. The right trees, the right leaves, a body able to handle those leaves, a pouch where the smallest joey can grow, a forest connected enough to move through, a climate gentle enough to rest beneath. And as the koala sits there, high in the eucalyptus branches, its stillness begins to feel less simple. It becomes the first clue. Because this quiet animal is carrying a much larger story than it first appears. A story of leaves that should be hard to live on. A body shaped around a narrow food. A forest that offers both shelter and challenge. And a soft grey marsupial that has found a way to survive by slowing almost everything down. When the koala is no longer seen as a little bear, its whole body begins to feel different. The round ears, the thick fur, and the quiet face are still there. But beneath that soft shape is an animal built from a much older Australian story. True bears belong to a group of mammals called carnivorans. That group includes animals like brown bears, polar bears, dogs, cats, seals, and weasels. Koalas do not belong there. They belong to the marsupials. Marsupials are mammals too, but they follow a different way of raising their young. Kangaroos, wallabies, possums, Tasmanian devils, wombats, and koalas all belong to this larger branch. Among them, the koala's closest living relatives are wombats. That may feel surprising at first. A wombat is low, heavy, and built for digging. A koala is built for climbing. One lives with its paws in the soil. The other spends much of its life above the ground, tucked among eucalyptus leaves. Yet both share deep family traits. Both have strong bodies. Both have short, powerful limbs. Both have a backward opening pouch which points toward the mother's rear instead of toward her head. For wombats, that pouch direction helps keep soil away from the baby while the mother digs. For koalas, it is part of an inherited body plan, passed down from ancestors that were not shaped exactly like the koalas we see today. A mother koala is usually pregnant for only about 35 days. That is very short compared with many placental mammals. A human pregnancy lasts about 9 months. A dog carries puppies for about 2 months. A horse carries a foal for nearly 11 months. But a koala joey enters the world after just over a month. At birth, it is tiny, often less than an inch long, about 2 centimeters. Smaller than a grape. Pink, hairless, blind, and so unfinished that it barely resembles the grey animal it will become. Its ears are not fully formed. Its back legs are still very weak, but its front limbs and sense of smell are developed enough for one of the most delicate journeys in mammal life. Without being carried by the mother's mouth, the newborn joey climbs through the fur on her belly and finds the pouch. Inside are the teats, where milk will feed it as it continues growing. This is one of the great differences between marsupials and placental mammals. Placental mammals grow for longer inside the mother's body. The placenta is an organ that forms during pregnancy and passes food and oxygen from the mother's blood to the growing baby. It also helps carry waste away. In that system, much of early development happens before birth. Marsupials shift much of that work outside the womb. The joey is born early, then finishes a large part of its growth attached to a teat inside the pouch. The pouch is not just a pocket. It is a warm nursery made of living skin, muscle, milk, scent, and safety. For months, the joey stays hidden there. Its body slowly changes. Skin grows thicker. Fur begins to appear. The eyes open. The ears take shape. The limbs strengthen. The tiny animal that once looked more like a curled pink bean slowly becomes a young koala. Koala milk also changes as the joey grows. Early milk is suited for a very undeveloped newborn. Later milk carries different levels of fat, sugar, protein, and water to match the joey's changing body. The mother is not simply feeding the same food each day. Her body is adjusting the milk as the young koala moves through each stage. After about 6 months, the joey begins to leave the pouch for short periods. It clings to the mother's belly or back, pressed into her fur as she climbs. From there, it begins to learn the shape of the trees, the rough bark, the bend of branches, the smell of eucalyptus leaves. For several more months, it rides with her, slowly becoming strong enough to climb and feed on its own. This makes the koala's sleepy image feel much richer. That still grey body in the branches did not begin as a complete little animal. It began as something tiny and unfinished, carried through a hidden second stage of growth. Its early life was not centered in a den like a bear cub. It was centered in a pouch, then on a mother's back, high in the trees. And once that is understood, the koala no longer feels like a bear that learned to climb. It feels like a marsupial shaped by a different path entirely. A path that leads from pouch to fur, from fur to branch, and from branch to the pale green leaves that will define almost everything about its life. From the pouch, and then from the mother's back, a young koala slowly enters a world made mostly of trees. Not open grassland, not caves, not burrows, not wide paths across the ground. Its world rises upward. A koala's home is built from trunks, forks, bark, shade, and leaves. In eastern and southern Australia, koalas live where the right kinds of eucalyptus trees grow in enough number to support them. Australia has more than 700 species of eucalyptus and closely related gum trees. But koalas do not treat them all the same. They may feed from only a small group of preferred species in a local area. In one forest, a koala may depend heavily on forest red gum, known as Eucalyptus terreticornis. In another area, it may choose river red gum, Eucalyptus camaldulensis, or manna gum, Eucalyptus viminalis. The exact menu changes with place. A eucalyptus forest in Queensland does not offer the same choices as a cooler forest in Victoria. A coastal woodland does not feel the same as a dry inland patch where the trees stand farther apart. So when people say koalas eat eucalyptus, that is true, but it is only the beginning. the more accurate picture is quieter and more precise. A koala needs the right eucalyptus growing in the right soil, with the right leaves, in a forest connected enough to move through. The tree is food, but it is also shelter. A koala may rest wedged into the fork of a branch, where the trunk divides into two strong arms. That shape can hold its body like a natural cradle. The bark gives grip. The leaves give shade. The height gives distance from some dangers on the ground. Even the shape of the canopy matters, because a dense crown of leaves can soften wind, sun, and rain. During the day, a koala may sit almost motionless in one tree for hours. Its body blends into the grey bark. Its rounded ears look like small patches of soft ash among the branches. Then, when it does move, the movement is usually careful and vertical. Up a trunk, across a branch, down to another fork, over to a cluster of leaves. Its daily map is not drawn like a road across flat land. It is layered like a ladder. Ground, trunk, branch, fork, leaf tip, resting place. A koala may come down to the ground when it needs to move between trees, especially where the canopy is broken. But the ground is not where it is best built to live. On the ground, its body looks slower and less certain. Its strong climbing limbs must carry it across open space. Its curved claws, so useful on bark, are less useful on hard road edges or dry soil. A connected forest lets the koala remain closer to its natural design. When branches overlap, or when trees stand near enough together, the animal can move with less exposure. When trees are cut apart by roads, fences, houses, farms, or cleared strips of land, the koala's quiet world becomes divided into pieces. This is why habitat is more than a simple number of trees. A single eucalyptus tree standing alone in a paddock may offer leaves for a short time, but it cannot replace a living forest. A healthy koala habitat holds feeding trees, resting trees, safe pathways, and enough nearby trees for young koalas to find their own space when they grow. Male koalas can travel farther than females, especially during breeding season, and young koalas must eventually leave their mother's range. For them, a gap in the trees is not just empty land. It is a difficult crossing. The forest shapes almost every part of the koala's day: where it sleeps, where it feeds, how far it moves, how much heat it feels, how safe it is while resting. Even the smell of the air belongs to that world. Eucalyptus leaves release strong oils into the warm Australian air, giving some forests a sharp, clean scent. That scent can seem peaceful to us, but to a koala, it is also information. It hints at leaf type, freshness, and chemistry. A branch is not just a branch. A leaf is not just a leaf. The whole tree is a set of choices. And once the tree becomes the koala's shelter, pathway, bed, nursery, shade, and dining place, the leaves themselves begin to feel much more mysterious. Because this soft grey animal has built its life around a food that most mammals would never choose. The leaves look gentle from a distance. Long, narrow, silver-green blades hanging from branches that sway in the warm air. Some eucalyptus leaves are shaped like sickles. Some are rounder when the tree is young. Many hang downward, which helps them avoid the harshest midday sun. To human eyes, they can seem soft and simple. But to an animal body, eucalyptus is a difficult meal. It is not like a mango, heavy with sugar. It is not like a seed packed with stored energy. It is not like fresh grass, which many grazing mammals can crop in great mouthfuls. Eucalyptus leaves are tough. They are full of fiber, the firm plant material that gives leaves their structure. Fiber is useful for the tree because it helps the leaf hold its shape in heat, wind, and dry weather. But fiber is hard for mammals to break apart. A koala cannot simply chew the leaf and use all of it right away. Much of that leaf must be worked on slowly inside the body. Eucalyptus leaves are also low in easy energy. A handful of fruit gives sugar quickly. A nut or seed gives fat and starch. A eucalyptus leaf gives far less. The koala has to eat a food that asks for a lot of work, but pays back slowly. And then there is the chemistry. Eucalyptus leaves contain strong oils and plant compounds. These compounds help protect the tree from insects, fungi, and hungry animals. Some of them create that sharp, clean smell people know from eucalyptus oil. That scent may feel fresh in a room or a warm bath, but in the forest, it is part of the tree's defense. The leaf is not only food, it is protected food. Many mammals avoid eating large amounts of eucalyptus because the oils and chemicals can be difficult for the liver to process. The liver is the organ that helps clean and change chemicals inside the body. It works like a quiet filter and workshop, taking substances from food and making them safer to handle. For a koala, this work is happening all the time. Each meal brings fiber, water, plant oils, and chemical signals into the body. The koala's mouth begins the process. Its sharp front teeth clip leaves from the branch. Its back teeth grind the plant material into smaller pieces. Grinding matters because smaller pieces give the body more surface area to work with. But chewing is only the beginning. The real slow work happens deeper inside. Koalas have a long cecum. The cecum is a pouch-like part of the large intestine. In humans, the cecum is small. In koalas, it is much more important. It holds communities of tiny living microbes. Microbes are so small they cannot be seen with the eye, but they can change the fate of a meal. Inside the cecum, these microbes help ferment the leaf material. Fermentation means they slowly break down tough plant fiber and release nutrients the koala can use. It is a little like the way yeast changes dough, or bacteria change milk into yogurt. The process is quiet, warm, and slow. A leaf that was once hanging in sunlight becomes a slow chemical project inside the koala's body. This is why the koala's food feels almost like a puzzle. The forest is full of leaves. The branches may surround the animal on every side. Food is close enough to touch with one paw, and yet that food is hard to turn into life. The koala cannot rush through it. It cannot burn energy carelessly and then refill quickly. Its whole body must respect the limits of the leaf. The jaw must grind, the gut must ferment. The liver must handle the oils. The body must save energy wherever it can. Even the koala's quiet posture begins to make more sense. The curled body in the fork of the tree is not just resting because the forest is peaceful. It is resting because eucalyptus demands patience. A richer food might allow a different life. More running, more searching, more sudden movement. But the koala has chosen, through millions of years of shaping, a narrow path among leaves that are abundant, but difficult. This makes the eucalyptus forest feel different. It is not simply generous. It is demanding. The food is everywhere, but it must be unlocked slowly. And once that is understood, the koala's stillness begins to look less like sleepiness and more like a careful answer to a hard bargain made with the trees. That bargain with the trees continues long after the koala swallows. A eucalyptus leaf does not become energy quickly. It does not melt into sugar the way ripe fruit might. It does not offer rich fat like a seed or nut. It enters the body as a tough bundle of fiber, water, oils, and plant chemicals. First, the koala chews it carefully. Its back teeth grind the leaf into smaller pieces, pressing and crushing the fibers so the gut has more surface to work on. But even after chewing, much of the leaf is still locked away. The koala cannot break down all that plant fiber by itself. No mammal can do that alone. The real help comes from microbes. These tiny living organisms settle inside the digestive tract and do work the animal's own body cannot do. In the koala, one of the most important places for this work is the cecum. The cecum is a pouch connected to the large intestine. In humans, it is small and not very important for digestion. In koalas, it is large and useful, a quiet chamber where leaf material can sit, while microbes slowly break it apart. This process is called fermentation. Fermentation is what happens when microbes change food through slow chemical work. It is the same basic idea behind yogurt, sauerkraut, sourdough bread, and many other foods people have made for thousands of years. Inside a koala, fermentation is not happening in a jar or a wooden barrel. It is happening in warmth and darkness, deep in the gut, while the animal rests in a tree. As microbes work on the fiber, they release small, useful chemicals that the koala can absorb. These chemicals are called short-chain fatty acids. That name sounds technical, but the idea is simple. They are small, energy-rich pieces made when microbes break down plant material. The koala's body can use them as fuel. So the koala is not just eating leaves. It is feeding a whole hidden community of microbes, and those microbes help feed the koala in return. This takes time. A fast animal, like a small bird chasing insects, can eat food that gives energy quickly. An insect body is made of protein and fat. Fruit can offer sugar almost at once. But eucalyptus leaves ask for patience. The koala's gut has to hold the food, soften it, ferment it, and pull out what little energy can be gained. That slow inner work shapes the animal's outer life. A koala cannot afford to behave like a squirrel, leaping and searching all day. It cannot live like a monkey rushing through branches in a noisy group. Its food does not support that kind of constant motion. So the koala becomes quiet. It climbs when it needs to climb. It feeds when the leaves are worth eating. Then it settles into the fork of the tree and lets the gut continue its work. From the outside, the animal looks almost still. The chest rises gently. The paws hold the bark. The ears rest against the air. But inside, the body is active in a slower way. The stomach has received the leaves. The intestines are moving them along. The cecum is holding fiber in its warm chamber. Microbes are breaking bonds that the koala could not break alone. The liver is helping handle the strong eucalyptus compounds that travel through the blood. Stillness, then, is not emptiness. It is full of quiet labor. Every resting hour gives the digestive system time to do what it must do. Every pause on the branch protects energy that would be costly to replace. The koala's slow life is not separate from its diet. It is the visible shape of digestion. The body in the tree and the microbes in the gut are part of one system. A system built around leaves that are common but difficult. Around food that surrounds the animal, yet must be handled with care. And once the stillness begins to make sense, the famous sleepiness of the koala no longer feels like a cute habit. It begins to feel like survival, written into the rhythm of the body itself. Once the koala's stillness is connected to digestion, its long hours of rest begin to look very different. The animal in the tree is not wasting the day. It is spending energy carefully. A koala may rest or sleep for around 18 to 20 hours in a day. That number can sound almost unbelievable at first. Most animals that sleep that much are either very small, very cold, very young, or living through some kind of seasonal slowdown. But the koala is doing something more steady. It is matching its daily rhythm to a food that gives only a modest return. Eucalyptus leaves are available in the forest, but they are not rich like fruit, eggs, insects, or meat. They contain a lot of water and fiber, but not much quick fuel. A koala may eat several hundred grams of leaves in a day, sometimes close to half a kilogram. That is a large pile of leaves for an animal that may weigh only 5 to 15 kilograms, depending on its sex and region. But even after all that chewing, the body still has to work slowly to pull usable energy from the meal. So the koala rests. It rests while microbes break down fiber. It rests while the liver handles eucalyptus chemicals. It rests while the body saves heat, water, and strength. High in the canopy, rest is also safer than wandering. A koala settled in the fork of a eucalyptus tree is using the tree like a bed, a wall, and a lookout point all at once. The rough bark helps hold its claws. The branches support its weight. The leaves around it soften the light. From that height, the koala does not need to cross open ground unless it must. Every trip down a trunk uses energy. Every crossing between trees can bring risk. On the ground, koalas are slower than many animals around them. Their bodies are made for gripping bark, not for long-distance running. Their curved claws and strong arms are perfect on a trunk, but awkward on roads, lawns, and dry paddocks. So staying still in the right tree is not a small choice. It is a way to avoid spending energy where the body is least efficient. This is energy budgeting. A budget is a plan for using limited resources. For a koala, the resource is not money. It is energy gathered leaf by leaf. The koala's body spends that energy on breathing, digestion, warmth, climbing, feeding, healing, and raising young. If it spends too much on movement, there is less left for everything else. So the animal becomes careful. A few steps across a branch matter. A climb to a higher feeding spot matters. A descent to the ground matters even more. The koala's pace reflects the narrowness of its diet. An animal that eats rich food can sometimes afford bursts of activity. A fox eating rodents, a bird eating insects, or a possum eating fruit has access to food that releases energy more quickly. The koala lives under different rules. Its food is everywhere around it, but it gives slowly. That means the koala's life cannot be measured by how much it moves. It has to be understood by how well it avoids moving when it does not need to. Even sleep fits into this pattern. During sleep and deep rest, the body lowers some of its demands. Muscles relax, movement stops. The heart and breathing continue their steady work, but the animal is no longer spending energy climbing, searching, or reacting to every small change in the forest. The gut can keep working in the background. The cecum can continue its slow fermentation. The body can turn yesterday's leaves into today's warmth. Seen from below, the koala may look like a bundle of grey fur tucked into the tree. But that quiet shape is the result of many linked pressures. Low energy leaves, slow digestion, chemical defense in the food, a climbing body, a safer life above the ground, a forest where every movement has a cost. Stillness is not weakness. It is one of the koala's main tools. And because it saves motion so carefully, every movement it does make begins to feel more important. The stretch of a paw, the grip of curved claws, the slow climb from one branch to another, the quiet reach toward a fresh cluster of eucalyptus leaves. The koala may spend most of its day doing almost nothing. But in that almost nothing, its whole way of surviving is gently at work. A koala saves movement whenever it can. But when it does move, the body shows a quiet strength that is easy to miss. The same animal that sleeps for long hours can climb a tall eucalyptus trunk with steady control. It does not move like a squirrel. It does not leap quickly from tree to tree like a monkey. Its movement is slower, heavier, and more deliberate. But it is not clumsy. The koala is built for bark. Its front limbs are strong, with powerful muscles in the shoulders and arms. Those limbs pull the body upward as the claws catch in the rough outer layer of the tree. Eucalyptus bark can be smooth, flaky, fibrous, or deeply cracked, depending on the species. Some trees shed long ribbons of bark. Others hold rough plates and ridges. A koala has to grip all of these surfaces, often many meters above the ground. Its claws are curved and sharp, like small climbing hooks. They dig into bark as the animal presses its body close to the trunk. That close contact matters. A koala does not simply hang from the tree. It hugs the tree. Its chest, belly, and limbs all help keep it steady as it climbs. The hands are especially interesting. On each front paw, koalas have 2 digits set apart from the other 3. They work a little like 2 thumbs facing 3 fingers. This gives the paw a strong grasp, almost like a clamp. When the koala grips a branch, those digits can wrap around the wood from different angles. It can hold a trunk, pull leaves closer, and brace itself while shifting weight. The back feet are also shaped for the trees. Each hind foot has a large clawless big toe that can press against the other toes, helping with grip. 2 of the smaller toes are joined together for part of their length, a feature called syndactyly. That word simply means joined digits. Many marsupials have this trait. The two toes are separate at the tips, with small claws that can be used like a comb for grooming fur. So even the koala's feet hold more than one purpose. They help climb. They help grip. They help clean the thick coat that protects the animal in rain, wind, and cooler nights. Balance is part of the design too. A koala's body is compact and sturdy, with a low center of weight when it crouches against a branch. Its rump is padded with firm cartilage. The smooth, tough tissue also found in places like human ears and noses. This padding helps it sit for long periods in tree forks and on rough branches. That detail is small, but it makes the resting posture easier to picture. The koala is not floating softly in the tree. It is physically fitted to the tree. Its body has cushions where the bark presses. Its claws have curves for climbing. Its paws have grips for branches. Its limbs have the strength to pull and hold. Even its thick fur helps soften contact with bark and weather. This is why the koala's slow rhythm should not be mistaken for poor design. A fast animal is not always a better animal. Speed is useful in some lives. Stillness is useful in others. The koala's world asks for a different skill. It asks for grip. It asks for patience. It asks for the ability to hold a position safely while chewing leaves that take hours to digest. The canopy is not a flat, simple place. It is a maze of angles. A branch may be narrow, slanted, wet from rain, or moving gently in the wind. A feeding tree may not have the best resting fork. A resting tree may not have the freshest leaves. So a koala must sometimes climb down, cross, and climb again. Each movement is slow, but each one is supported by a body shaped for vertical life. A paw reaches, claws press, weight shifts, the chest leans into bark. The hind feet follow. The animal pauses, then continues. From below, the motion may look sleepy. Up close, it is careful engineering. And as the paws close around the branch, with their separated digits and textured pads, the koala begins to feel strangely familiar. Not human, not bare, but familiar in the small details of touch and grip. The more closely we look at those quiet hands in the leaves, the more they seem to carry a hidden story of their own. The hidden story begins in the pads of the paws, not in the soft ears, not in the dark nose, not in the sleepy face, but in the small ridges pressed against the branch. Koalas have fingerprints, not just rough paw pads, not just simple skin texture, actual ridge patterns with loops, arches, and whorls, the same kind of shapes found on human fingertips. A loop curves back on itself like a tiny river bend. An arch rises gently like a low hill. A whorl curls around a center point, almost like a small spiral drawn in skin. These patterns are so close to human fingerprints that under some conditions, they can be difficult to tell apart without careful study. That is a strange thing to imagine. A koala moving slowly through eucalyptus leaves. A human hand holding a cup or opening a door. Two very different animals, separated by a huge stretch of evolution, both carrying delicate ridges on their fingertips. Humans are primates. Koalas are marsupials. Our shared ancestors with koalas lived far back in mammal history, long before anything like a modern human or a modern koala existed. So these fingerprints were not inherited from a recent common ancestor, in the simple way that siblings might inherit similar traits. They likely evolved separately. This is called convergent evolution. Convergent evolution means two unrelated or distantly related animals develop similar features because they face similar physical problems. A bird wing and a bat wing are not built the same way, but both solve the problem of flight. A shark and a dolphin have similar smooth body shapes, even though one is a fish and the other is a mammal, because both move through water. In koalas and humans, the shared problem may be touch and grip. A fingerprint is made of raised ridges in the skin. Those ridges can help increase friction, which is the force that keeps surfaces from sliding past each other too easily. They may also help the skin sense tiny changes in texture and pressure. When a human fingertip slides across fabric, glass, bark, or paper, those ridges help turn touch into useful information. When a koala grips a branch, those ridges may help it feel the surface beneath its paw. The bark may be smooth in one place and cracked in another. It may be dry, wet, peeling, warm from the afternoon, or cool in the shade. The koala's hand has to read those surfaces quietly. A branch is not always still. Wind can shift it. Rain can darken the bark. A feeding koala may hold a branch with one paw, while pulling leaves closer with the other. Its body weight may lean to one side as it reaches. In that moment, grip matters. Touch matters. The little ridges on the skin may help the paw stay connected to the tree. They may also help the animal handle leaves more carefully. Eucalyptus leaves are not all equal. Some are young and soft. Some are older and tougher. Some carry more moisture. Some carry more strong oils and plant chemicals. A koala does not simply bite anything green in front of it. Its paws bring the leaves closer. Its nose tests the scent. Its mouth clips and chews. Its whole feeding process is slow and selective. The fingerprints make that process feel more intimate. The koala is not just sitting inside a food supply. It is touching its world, branch by branch, leaf by leaf. The paw closes around a stem. The ridges press into smooth green skin. The claws hold bark nearby. The nose lowers. The animal decides whether this leaf is worth the cost of eating. Even in rest, the hands remain part of the story. A sleeping koala may curl its paws near its chest or hook them around a branch. Those small hands, with their strange familiar patterns, belong to an animal that seems simple only from far away. Up close, the koala is full of fine details. A backward opening pouch, a large cecum for slow digestion, curved claws for bark, joined toes for grooming, and fingerprints hidden in the grey fur of the paws. Each detail points to the same quiet truth. The koala's life is not random. It is shaped by touch, by leaves, by branches, by slow choices repeated every day in the canopy. And once the hand becomes a clue, the act of feeding changes again. The koala is not merely eating eucalyptus. It is reading the tree before it takes each bite. Reading the tree before each bite means the koala's meal begins before chewing. It begins with a pause. A paw draws a leafy stem closer. The dark nose moves toward it. The animal breathes in the scent of the leaf, the bark, the oils, and the warm air around the branch. Then it may bite, or it may let that leaf go and reach for another. Koalas are often described as eucalyptus eaters, but they are not careless feeders. They do not eat every eucalyptus leaf with the same interest. Across Australia, there are hundreds of eucalyptus species and close relatives, yet koalas usually prefer only certain ones in each local area. In parts of Queensland and New South Wales, they may feed on forest red gum, Eucalyptus terreticornis. Along rivers and floodplains, river red gum, Eucalyptus camaldulensis, can be important. In cooler southern areas, manna gum, Eucalyptus viminalis, may become a favored food tree. Other trees may stand nearby, green and full of leaves, while the koala chooses only a few again and again. That choice matters because each leaf is a small chemical package. It contains water. It contains fiber. It contains protein in small amounts. It contains oils that create the sharp eucalyptus scent. It also contains defensive compounds the tree makes to discourage insects and grazing animals. Some of these compounds are bitter. Some are hard for the liver to process. Some make a leaf less useful, even if it looks fresh and green. So the koala is not only looking for food, it is balancing reward and cost. A leaf with more moisture may help on a hot day. A leaf with more nitrogen, one of the building blocks used to make protein, may be more valuable for growth and repair. But a leaf with too many strong plant chemicals may demand more work from the body. The right bite is not simply the softest leaf or the nearest leaf. It is the leaf that gives enough benefit without asking too much in return. Even on a single tree, the leaves can differ. Young leaves may be softer and richer in some nutrients, but they can also carry stronger chemical defenses. Older leaves may be tougher, with more fiber and less easy nutrition. Leaves higher in the canopy may get more sun and may lose water differently than shaded leaves lower down. After rain, some leaves may hold more moisture. During drought, even a familiar tree can become a poorer meal. Season matters too. A tree in spring with new growth is not exactly the same as that tree in late summer. A tree after weeks of dry heat is not the same as that tree after steady rain. The koala's senses help sort through these small changes. Smell is especially important. The koala's nose is large and leathery, and it sits at the front of the face like a quiet testing tool. Eucalyptus leaves release volatile compounds. Volatile means they easily turn into scent molecules that drift through the air. When the koala smells a leaf, it may be detecting signs of oil content, freshness, and chemical strength. Taste adds more information once the leaf reaches the mouth. Bitterness can warn of certain plant compounds. Texture can reveal whether the leaf is young, mature, dry, or tough. Moisture changes how the leaf feels between the teeth. Every small signal helps the animal decide. This makes the slow feeding posture more meaningful. The koala is not just nibbling because the leaves happen to be there. It is choosing inside a forest full of uneven options. A branch may hold a dozen leaves, but only some are worth eating. A tree may be useful one season and less useful later. A patch of forest may look green from the ground, while offering only a narrow set of good feeding choices in the canopy. The koala's quiet chewing is really the end of a careful process. Touch brings the branch close. Smell reads the leaf from a distance. Taste confirms what the nose suggested. The gut waits below, ready to handle the fiber and chemicals that come after swallowing. And the whole animal remains tied to these small choices. Leaf by leaf, stem by stem, tree by tree. Its senses are tuned to a difficult forest, where food is everywhere, but the best food must still be found. And behind those choices lies an even deeper kind of tuning, written not just in the nose or tongue, but in the body's hidden instructions. Those hidden instructions are carried inside the koala's cells. Every koala has a genome. A genome is the full set of biological instructions that helps build and run a living body. It guides how fur grows, how milk changes, how the immune system responds, how the nose detects scent, how the liver handles the strong chemicals inside eucalyptus leaves. For a koala, the genome is not just a quiet background detail. It is part of the reason this animal can live in a forest full of food that many other mammals cannot use. In 2018, scientists published a detailed koala genome, giving researchers a closer look at the animal's hidden toolkit. What they found matched the koala's unusual life. The body carries expanded sets of genes linked to smell, taste, and detoxification. A gene is a stretch of DNA that helps the body make something useful, often a protein. Proteins are tiny working parts inside cells. Some build tissue. Some carry signals. Some help break down chemicals. In the koala, some of the most important chemical handling tools belong to a group called cytochrome P450 enzymes. That name sounds complicated, but the idea is simple. These enzymes help the liver change certain chemicals so the body can process them and remove them more safely. Eucalyptus leaves contain many natural compounds that protect the tree. Some are oily, some are bitter. Some can be harmful in high amounts. When a koala eats leaf after leaf, day after day, its liver must keep handling that chemical load. Detoxification is not a side job. It is part of the center of koala life. The animal's quiet face gives no sign of this. A koala may sit calmly in a eucalyptus fork, chewing slowly, while inside the body, the liver is sorting and changing plant chemicals from every meal. The gut is working on fiber. The microbes are fermenting leaf material. The liver is helping manage the oils and defensive compounds. The senses are guiding the animal toward leaves that are worth the cost. All of it connects back to the same narrow food source. The koala is not simply adapted to trees in a general way. It is adapted to eucalyptus in a deep and layered way. Even its senses appear shaped by that life. Genes linked to smell and taste help explain why the koala can be so selective. A leaf is not only green matter. It carries scent molecules drifting into the air. It carries taste compounds released when the teeth break the surface. It carries signs of moisture, age, and chemical strength. The koala's nose and mouth are part of a living testing system, and the genome helps build that system. This is what makes specialization so impressive. Over long stretches of time, a species can become extremely good at one way of living. The koala's ancestors did not wake one day and choose eucalyptus. Evolution works more slowly than that. Small differences in body, senses, digestion, and chemistry can help some animals survive better than others. Those animals leave more young behind. Over many generations, the useful traits become more common. Eventually, the animal and its food begin to fit together with surprising precision. The koala's body shows that process in almost every detail. The gripping paws, the careful nose, the grinding teeth, the long cecum, the liver enzymes, the slow rhythm of rest and feeding. Each part seems to point back toward the leaves, but an exact fit can also become a kind of narrow path. An animal that can eat almost anything has many choices when the world changes. A raccoon can search through fruit, insects, eggs, scraps, and small animals. A fox can shift between rodents, birds, berries, and insects. A koala cannot change so easily. Its body is deeply trained by evolution to live with certain leaves, in certain forests, under certain conditions. That makes the koala remarkable. It also makes it vulnerable. The same hidden toolkit that helps it survive eucalyptus leaves also ties it more closely to eucalyptus country. If the right trees are lost, if leaves dry out, if forests become too broken, the koala cannot simply become a different animal. Its strength and its weakness are folded together. And so the genome, hidden inside every cell, tells a quiet story of precision. A story of a body shaped around one difficult food. A story of life made possible by chemistry, patience, and leaves. And the more exact that story becomes, the more delicate the world around it begins to feel. That delicate world around the koala begins with a simple fact. A koala cannot easily become something else. Its body has been shaped around eucalyptus leaves. Its gut, teeth, liver, senses, paws, and daily rhythm all point toward the same kind of life. So when the right forest changes, the koala cannot simply step into another landscape and start over. A raccoon can eat fruit, eggs, insects, fish, seeds, human scraps, and small animals. A fox can hunt mice, birds, rabbits, beetles, and sometimes eat berries. A crow can search fields, beaches, roadsides, forests, and towns. These animals are generalists. A generalist is an animal that can use many different foods or habitats. If one source disappears, it may find another. The koala is different. It is a specialist. A specialist is very good at one way of living, but less flexible when that way of living is disturbed. The koala's special skill is living in certain eucalyptus forests. But that skill only works if the forest still holds the right pieces. Food trees, resting trees, safe branches, breeding space, connected pathways, enough distance from heavy road traffic, enough shelter from heat and weather. When habitat is lost, the koala does not lose just one thing. It loses many things at once. A cleared patch of land may remove the tree that held the best leaves. It may remove the shaded fork, where a koala rested through the hot part of the day. It may cut off the route a young koala would have used when leaving its mother's range. It may force an adult male to cross open ground during breeding season. it may separate one small group of koalas from another, leaving fewer chances for healthy breeding over time. From above, a forest can look like one broad green area. But from a koala's life, it is more detailed than that. One tree may be useful for feeding. Another may be better for resting. A line of trees along a creek may act like a quiet bridge through the land. A patch of woodland on a hill may connect to another patch through a narrow strip of roadside trees. These connections matter because koalas cannot fly over gaps. They cannot run for miles with ease. They must move body by body, tree by tree, across a landscape that may or may not still fit them. When forests are broken into pieces, each piece can become like a small island. There may be koalas in one patch and koalas in another, but if roads, farms, fences, or suburbs sit between them, those animals may rarely meet. That matters for breeding. It also matters for young koalas, which must eventually leave the mother's home area and find their own space. A young koala may disperse, meaning it moves away from where it was born. This is normal. It helps prevent too many animals from crowding into the same trees. But in a broken landscape, dispersal becomes more dangerous. The young koala may have to climb down, cross dry grass, move past houses, avoid dogs, cross a road, find another tree before heat, stress, or danger catches up with it. The animal that was so perfectly fitted to the canopy becomes exposed when the canopy ends. This is the quiet problem with specialization. It can make a creature beautifully suited to one world, but it can also make the edges of that world sharper. A koala cannot replace eucalyptus with apples. It cannot shift from tree leaves to insects. It cannot live well in an open field just because a few scattered trees remain. Its body remembers the forest, even when the forest has been thinned, split, or pushed back. That does not make the koala weak. It makes its needs specific, and specific needs require specific places. The right trees must grow close enough together. The soil must support them. The climate must allow the leaves to stay useful. The branches must form safe resting places. The forest must hold not only one koala for one night, but many koalas across many seasons. So the story can no longer stay only inside the body. The gut, the paws, the nose, and the genome have all pointed outward. They have led back to the land itself, to the shape of forests on a map, to the eastern and southern edges of Australia, where koala country rises, breaks, narrows, and continues in scattered green paths. Koala country stretches across Australia, but not in one smooth blanket. It follows the trees. If you picture a map of Australia, the koala's natural world sits mostly along the eastern and southeastern side of the continent. From parts of Queensland in the north, down through New South Wales and the Australian Capital Territory, into Victoria, and across into parts of South Australia. It is a long curve of habitat, shaped by rainfall, soil, temperature, and eucalyptus forest. Koalas are not naturally spread across the whole country. They do not live in the dry red centre in the same way. They are not native to Western Australia. They are not native to Tasmania. Their lives are tied to places where useful eucalyptus trees can grow close enough together to support feeding, resting, breeding, and movement. Even inside their range, the map is not simple. A shaded area on a wildlife map can make it look as if koalas fill a whole region evenly, but the real land is patchier. One valley may hold good food trees. Another nearby slope may hold eucalyptus species that koalas rarely use. A river flat may support forest red gum or river red gum. A dry ridge may offer fewer useful leaves. A coastal woodland may feel rich and connected, while another patch just a few kilometers away may be broken by roads, farms, fences, or suburbs. So koala country is not just a place where eucalyptus exists. It is a chain of suitable places, some broad, some narrow, some healthy, some fading, some connected by strips of trees along creeks, roadsides, or ridgelines. A koala living near the coast of New South Wales may move through a very different forest from a koala living in inland Queensland. In cooler southern areas, manna gum, blue gum, and swamp gum may be important. In warmer northern areas, species such as forest red gum, tallow wood, or grey gum may matter more, depending on the local forest. The tree names change because the land changes. Australia is not one single habitat. It holds wet coastal forests, dry woodlands, river corridors, mountain ranges, and open grazing land where only scattered trees remain. The koala's map is stitched through all of that, and each stitch depends on trees. When settlers, farmers, loggers, towns, and roads changed the land after European colonization began in 1788, many eucalyptus forests were cleared or divided. Some areas lost large stretches of woodland for sheep, cattle, crops, timber, and housing. In some places, koalas remained in pockets. In others, they became rare or disappeared. There were also times in the 19th and early 20th centuries when koalas were hunted heavily for their fur. Millions of skins were traded during those years. By the early 1900s, some local populations had been badly reduced. Protection laws later helped stop that direct hunting pressure, but habitat change continued to shape where koalas could live. This is why modern koala country can feel like a broken necklace. The beads are forest patches. The string between them is connection. When the string breaks, each patch becomes more alone. A koala in one patch may still have leaves today. But if young koalas cannot safely move out, if males cannot reach females, if trees cannot regrow, or if heat and drought make leaves less useful, that patch becomes less secure over time. A population is not just a group of animals sitting in one place. It is a living flow of births, deaths, movement, breeding, and safe passage through the land. This makes the map feel more alive. It is not only a drawing, it is a set of routes taken slowly at night. A young koala climbing down from one tree and crossing toward another. A mother resting with a joey in a fork above dry grass. A male moving farther during breeding season, leaving scent and deep calls across his range. A line of eucalyptus trees beside a creek acting like a quiet hallway through a changed landscape. And because koala country is so patchy, the animals themselves do not face the same world everywhere. A koala in warm Queensland may live under different pressures than one in cool Victoria. A koala in a dry inland woodland may face different leaf and water conditions than one near a wetter coastal forest. The map begins to shape the body. The climate begins to shape the fur. And the farther we follow koalas across their uneven country, the clearer it becomes that one species can carry many regional stories in the same grey form. Across that uneven map, the koala does not remain exactly the same. A koala resting in the warmer forests of Queensland may look noticeably different from one curled in the cooler woodlands of Victoria. They are still the same species, Phascoloctos cinereus. That name belongs to the living koala, the grey marsupial of eucalyptus country. But within that one species, climate leaves its quiet marks. In the north, where summers can be hotter and the air can hold more tropical heat, koalas are often smaller. Their fur is usually shorter and lighter. Their bodies tend to carry less mass. A northern male may weigh around 6 to 8 kilograms, though individuals vary by place, age, and food supply. A female may be lighter still. In the south, especially in Victoria and parts of South Australia, koalas are often larger. Some southern males can reach 12 kilograms or more. Their fur is thicker, darker, and denser, giving them a heavier, woollier look. A southern koala sitting in a cold morning tree fork may seem rounder and more padded, with fur that helps hold warmth close to the skin. This pattern is not random. Across many warm-blooded animals, colder regions often favor larger bodies. A larger body loses heat more slowly because it has less surface area compared with its total volume. Surface area is the outer skin where heat escapes. Volume is the inner body that holds warmth. A small animal has more outside surface compared with its inside mass, so it can lose heat faster. A larger animal holds heat more easily. This is why a thick southern koala body can be useful during cold nights, damp winters, and windy days in eucalyptus branches. Fur works with body size. Dense fur traps a layer of air close to the skin. That trapped air slows heat loss. It is the same basic reason a wool blanket feels warm, or why birds fluff their feathers in cold weather. A southern koala's thicker coat can help it stay warm, while resting high above the ground, where wind moves through branches and rain can settle into bark. In northern areas, the problem is different. Too much heat can be dangerous. A smaller body can release heat more easily. Shorter fur holds less warmth. For a koala living through hot days, especially when temperatures climb above 35 degrees Celsius, keeping cool can become more important than staying warm. The animal cannot simply sweat heavily like a human. It cannot spend the day running to water like an antelope. It is tied to its trees, its leaves, and its need to save energy. So northern koalas face a different balance. They must rest, digest, and avoid overheating at the same time. Their lighter bodies make more sense when seen against the bright heat of the north. The eucalyptus leaves may also change with climate. In hotter or drier places, leaves can contain less water. They can become tougher. Their chemical makeup can shift with drought, soil, and season. A koala in a warmer region may need to choose leaves with special care, because the difference between a moist, useful leaf and a dry, costly one can matter more during heat. In cooler southern forests, water stress may come in different ways, and the challenge may be less about midday heat and more about cold, rain, and seasonal food quality. This shows why there is no single simple koala life. The image is familiar. A grey animal in a eucalyptus tree. But the details change. In one place, a smaller koala rests under strong northern sun, its lighter fur blending with pale bark and dry leaves. In another, a heavier koala sits in a southern tree on a cool morning, wrapped in thicker fur while mist hangs low between the branches. Both animals are shaped by eucalyptus. Both carry young in a pouch. Both rely on slow digestion and careful leaf choice. But the climates around them press on their bodies in different ways. Heat, cold, rain, drought, leaf moisture, and forest type all become part of the animal's form. The koala is not a fixed little figure placed anywhere on a map. It is a living response to local conditions. A body adjusted by place. A coat shaped by temperature. A size shaped by the need to hold warmth or release it. And once climate becomes part of the koala's body, the tree begins to matter in a new way. Not just as food, not just as shelter, but as shade, surface, and coolness when the air grows heavy with heat. When the air grows hot, the koala's tree becomes more than a place to rest. It becomes part of the body's cooling system. A koala does not have many easy ways to escape heat. It cannot leave the forest and search for a cool cave. It cannot run long distances to water without spending energy. It cannot easily replace. It cannot sweat over most of its body the way humans do. So on very hot days, the koala may do something quiet and practical. It presses itself against the tree. Its belly, chest, arms, and legs can flatten against the trunk or a large branch. The pose almost looks like a hug. But it is not only comfort. It is physics. Heat naturally moves from warmer things into cooler things. If the koala's body is warmer than the tree trunk, some of that body heat can pass into the wood through direct contact. This is called conduction. Conduction is the same process you feel when you touch a cool stone floor with bare feet. The stone is not blowing air at you. It is not sweating. It simply takes heat from your skin because it is cooler than you are. A tree trunk can do something similar for a koala. During heat, researchers have found that some tree trunks can be several degrees cooler than the surrounding air. That difference matters. If the air is 37 degrees Celsius, but the trunk is closer to 32 or 33 degrees, the tree can become a cooler surface in a very hot world. The koala does not need to understand the numbers. Its body only needs to feel the result. Cooler bark against warm fur, shade around the trunk, less heat pressing in from every side. The shape of the tree matters too. A large trunk heats and cools more slowly than thin leaves or small twigs. Wood holds temperature differently from air. Deep roots may also connect the tree to cooler soil moisture below the surface, especially in some habitats. So while the leaves at the outer canopy may sit in bright sun, the trunk can remain a steadier, cooler place. On hot days, koalas may climb lower than usual and rest against thicker parts of the tree. A branch fork that was once only a bed becomes a cooling ledge. A trunk that was once only a climbing surface becomes a place to release heat. The animal's posture changes with the weather. Instead of curling tightly like a ball, it may stretch out more loosely. Instead of sitting only among leaves, it may press closer to the main trunk. The paws still grip, the claws still hold bark, but the whole body is now using the tree as a cool surface. This helps because other ways of cooling can cost water. Panting, for example, moves air over moist surfaces in the mouth and throat. As moisture evaporates, it carries heat away. That can cool the body, but it also uses water. Licking fur can work in a similar way. Moisture on the coat evaporates and removes heat. But again, water is lost. For an animal that often gets much of its moisture from eucalyptus leaves, saving water can be important. Pressing against a cooler trunk lets the koala lose some heat without giving up as much water. It is a quiet solution. No running, no splashing, no dramatic escape. Just a grey body held close to bark while the day slowly passes. The eucalyptus tree has already been food. It has been a nursery, because a mother carries her joey through its branches. It has been a bed shaped by forks and rough limbs. It has been a pathway, letting the koala move above the ground. Now it becomes shade and coolness, a living surface that helps the animal endure heat. This makes the forest feel even more complete. The koala is not merely sitting in a tree. It is joined to the tree in several ways at once. Its claws grip the bark. Its gut waits for the leaves. Its nose reads the scent. Its body leans into the trunk. Its heat passes slowly into wood. And as the air grows harsh, the tree quietly gives one more thing the animal needs. But coolness is only part of the balance. A body can lose heat and still need water. A leaf can offer food and still need moisture. And in the eucalyptus world, water is often hidden in places that do not look like water at all. Water does not always appear as a stream, a pool, or a shining drop. For a koala, much of it is hidden inside leaves. Eucalyptus leaves are not only fiber and oils, they also hold moisture in their tissues. A fresh leaf is a small living container, filled with water that helps the tree move minerals, keep its cells firm, and continue making food from sunlight. When a koala chews that leaf, it is taking in more than plant material. It is taking in a quiet supply of water. This is one reason the old idea that koalas never drink became so common. The word koala is often said to come from an Aboriginal language word, meaning no drink, though the exact origin is more complex because Australia has many Aboriginal languages. The idea makes sense from a distance. Koalas are often high in trees. They are rarely seen standing beside a creek like kangaroos or wallabies. For much of the year, in good habitat, a koala may get a large share of its water from the leaves it eats. But never is too strong a word. Koalas can drink. They may drink from waterholes, creeks, rainwater on tree trunks, or even water offered during extreme heat and drought. Their need to drink depends on the weather, the leaves, and the stress placed on the body. A leaf is not always the same kind of water source. After rain, young eucalyptus leaves may be plumper and more moist. During cooler weather, the koala loses less water through heat stress. In those conditions, eating leaves can meet much of what the body needs. But during long dry periods, the tree changes. Leaves may become tougher. Moisture levels can fall. The same branch that once held soft, useful leaves may hold drier ones. The koala may still be surrounded by green, but each bite may give less water than before. Heat adds another pressure. When the air is hot, the body must work harder to keep its temperature steady. Panting can help release heat, but it also sends moisture out through the mouth and breath. Licking fur can cool the body as the moisture evaporates, but that also uses water. Even resting against a cooler tree trunk does not erase the body's need for fluid. It only helps reduce the cost. So water becomes part of the koala's leaf choices. A leaf with more moisture may matter more on a hot day. A tree growing along a creek line may offer better leaves than one standing on a dry slope. A shaded branch may hold different conditions from the exposed outer canopy. The koala's nose, tongue, and body are all working within these quiet differences. This makes drought especially serious. Drought is not only the absence of visible water, it can change the food itself. A forest may still look like a forest. The trunks may still stand. The leaves may still hang in silver-green clusters. But inside those leaves, the balance can shift. Less water, more toughness, different chemistry, less usable reward for the same slow work of chewing, fermenting, and detoxifying. The danger can begin before the trees look dead. It begins when the food becomes less generous, when the koala must spend more energy for less moisture, when heat rises and the body has fewer ways to cool without losing water, when a resting animal has to move farther to find better leaves or climb down toward a drinking source. And each movement carries its own cost. A koala that climbs down to search for water leaves the safer shape of the canopy. It may cross open ground. It may pass roads, dogs, fences, or hard dry soil. A basic need, hidden for so long inside leaves, can suddenly pull the animal into risk. This is why the story of koala water is more delicate than a simple myth. They are not animals that magically live without drinking. They are animals that often drink through their food. They depend on the quiet moisture held in eucalyptus leaves, on the season that grows those leaves, and on the forest that keeps enough of them within reach. The koala's water is folded into green tissue. It is carried in the leaf veins. It is released through chewing. It is measured by heat, rain, drought, and shade. And when that hidden water begins to fade, the forest can become harder to live in long before it looks empty from below. A drying forest does not always announce itself at once. The trees may still stand. The leaves may still look green from the ground. A koala may still sit in the branches, wrapped around the same fork of bark, with the same pale leaves moving gently around it. But inside the leaves, the change has already begun. When rain becomes scarce, eucalyptus trees protect themselves. Like many plants, they can close tiny openings on their leaves called stomata. Stomata are small pores that let gases move in and out of the leaf. They help the tree take in carbon dioxide for making sugars from sunlight. But they also let water escape. During drought, closing them helps the tree save moisture. The tree survives by slowing down. But for a koala, that slower tree can mean a poorer meal. Less water in the leaves, less new growth, tougher tissue, a different balance of oils and defensive chemicals. The forest may still be full of eucalyptus, but the food inside that forest becomes harder to use. A koala living through dry weeks or dry months may have to work more carefully for the same reward. It may choose leaves from creek lines where roots can reach deeper moisture. It may climb to shaded parts of the canopy. It may move toward trees with softer, fresher growth. But each choice takes effort. A koala that normally saves movement may be forced to spend more of it. The animal may climb down more often. It may cross between trees more often. It may search farther through a patch of woodland that once held enough food nearby. That extra movement costs energy, and during drought, energy is already harder to replace. The leaves give less water. Heat increases water loss. The body must keep itself cool, while also digesting food that may be drier and more fibrous. On very hot days, especially when temperatures rise into the high 30s or above 40 degrees Celsius, the stress grows stronger. The koala may rest against a trunk to lose heat. It may breathe faster or pant. It may lick its fur. These actions can help cool the body, but some of them use water. The animal is caught in a quiet exchange. It needs water to manage heat. It needs leaves to get water. But the leaves themselves may be drying. This is why drought can be dangerous before a forest looks empty. A green landscape is not always a useful landscape. From a distance, the canopy may appear alive. From inside the koala's body, the same canopy may be offering less moisture, less nutrition, and more chemical work. The difference is hidden in leaf tissue, in the veins of the leaf, in the roughness between the teeth, in how long the gut must work to pull energy from each mouthful. Drought also changes movement. In a healthy, connected forest, a koala can often stay close to the trees it knows. It can rest in one, feed in another, and move through branches or short crossings. In a dry forest, those familiar trees may not all remain useful. The koala may need to leave the safer parts of its range and search for better leaves. A creekside strip of trees may become more important than a dry ridge. A shaded hollow may matter more than an exposed slope. A single tree with higher leaf moisture can become valuable in a way that is hard to see from below. For young koalas, this can be especially difficult. A young animal leaving its mother's range already faces the task of finding its own trees. If drought has made many trees less useful, that search becomes longer and riskier. The young koala may descend more often. It may cross more open ground. It may spend energy it cannot easily replace. The drying forest becomes a kind of slow pressure, not a single event, not one broken branch, not one missing tree, but many small changes adding together. Leaves lose moisture. New growth slows. Heat rises. Movement increases. Rest becomes less complete. And the koala's careful energy budget becomes harder to balance. The animal is still shaped for eucalyptus, still built for branches, still holding to the old rhythm of resting, choosing, chewing, and digesting. But the forest around that rhythm is becoming less generous. Dryness weakens the eucalyptus world gradually, leaf by leaf and day by day. And in Australia, A forest that has grown dry does not only become harder to eat from, it can also become easier to burn. A dry eucalyptus forest can hold a quiet kind of tension. The leaves may hang still. The bark may peel in pale ribbons. The ground may be covered with fallen twigs, dry grass, and curled strips of bark. For many eucalyptus forests, fire is not foreign. Some eucalyptus species have lived with fire for thousands of years. Certain trees can sprout again from buds hidden under bark. Some release seeds after heat. Some hold oily leaves and loose bark that can burn quickly when conditions are dry. Fire has long been part of many Australian landscapes. But not every fire is the same. A smaller, patchy fire may move through the undergrowth and leave parts of the canopy alive. A large, hot bushfire can change a forest in a much deeper way. It can burn through feeding trees. It can blacken resting trees. It can break the green pathways that koalas use to move between safe places. For an animal that lives mostly above the ground, the canopy is not just a roof. It is the road, the bed, the dining place, and the shelter. When fire climbs into the crowns of trees, that whole upper world can vanish in a short time. Branches that once held clusters of eucalyptus leaves may become bare. A fork that once held a sleeping koala may become exposed to sun and wind. A corridor of trees beside a creek may be broken into separate smoky patches. The fire itself may pass in hours, but the change it leaves behind can last much longer. After the flames are gone, the forest may look strangely open. The trunks stand dark. The ground is covered in ash. The air may smell of smoke and damp charcoal after the first rain. Some eucalyptus trees may begin to regrow from their trunks or from underground structures. Tiny green shoots can appear against black bark, a sign of the tree's ability to recover. But recovery for a tree is not the same as recovery for a koala. A koala needs leaves it can eat now. It needs shade now. It needs branches strong enough to rest in now. A forest may be biologically alive and still not yet ready to support the animals that depended on its full canopy. Surviving koalas can face a hard period after fire. Some may be left in small, unburned pockets, surrounded by burned land. Some may need to travel farther to find usable leaves. Some may descend more often because the connected canopy has been interrupted. That can increase the risk from roads, dogs, heat, and exhaustion. Hunger can become a problem, even where trees remain standing, because scorched leaves are no longer useful food. Heat stress can linger when shade is lost. Isolation can grow when fire removes the strips of forest that once connected one group of trees to another. This is why the Black Summer bushfires of 2019 and 2020 became such an important part of the koala story in eastern Australia. Those fires burned across large areas of New South Wales, Queensland, Victoria, South Australia, and other regions. They came after severe drought and extreme heat. In some places, they moved through koala habitat that was already under pressure from clearing, roads, disease, and expanding towns. The Australian government has linked koala decline in listed regions to several pressures working together, including drought, the Black Summer fires, disease, urbanization, and habitat loss. That matters because fire is not always a single isolated event in the life of a koala population. It can arrive after months or years of dryness. It can burn through forests already divided by development. It can leave surviving animals in landscapes where safe movement was already difficult. The koala's body, so carefully shaped for leaves and branches, is not built for sudden loss of the trees themselves. Its claws can hold bark. Its gut can ferment eucalyptus fiber. Its nose can choose between leaves. But none of those tools can replace a missing forest. And still, the picture is not only destruction. Australian forests can regrow. Black trunks can carry new green shoots. Firefighters, wildlife carers, ecologists, and local communities often work to rescue animals, protect habitat, and monitor recovery. Some burned places slowly soften again with leaves. But for koalas, time matters. A joey cannot wait years for shelter. A hungry adult cannot eat future leaves. A broken corridor cannot guide a young koala safely tonight. Fire reveals how delicate canopy life can be. It shows that a koala's quiet tree world can be changed quickly, even when that world took decades to grow. And when the smoke clears, the danger does not simply disappear with it. The forest may be standing, but the pathways through it may be broken. A broken forest changes the meaning of distance. To a koala, 10 meters through connected branches can be a small journey, a slow climb across bark, a careful reach between limbs, a pause in a fork before moving toward another cluster of leaves. But 10 meters across open ground can feel like a different world. The body that fits so well against a eucalyptus trunk is less protected once the trees stop touching. Its claws are made for bark. Its paws are made for grip. Its strongest movements are upward and around branches, not fast travel across roads, lawns, paddocks, or driveways. When habitat is fragmented, koalas often have to come down. Fragmented means the forest has been broken into pieces. A road may cut through it. A housing estate may sit between two patches of trees. A fence may block a route that once passed through woodland. A cleared field may separate a feeding area from a resting area. From above, the land may still contain green patches. But from the koala's view, the safe paths between them may be missing. A connected canopy lets a koala move with less exposure. Branches do not need to form a perfect bridge everywhere. Even trees growing near one another can reduce how often the animal must descend. A strip of eucalyptus trees along a creek can act like a quiet hallway. A roadside line of gums can connect one patch of woodland to another. A cluster of backyard trees can sometimes become part of a larger path, if the land around it is safe enough. But when those links disappear, movement becomes risky. Roads are one of the clearest dangers. Koalas may move at night, especially when searching for food trees, mates, or new home areas. At night, a grey animal crossing dark pavement can be hard for drivers to see. A koala does not dart quickly like a rabbit. It moves with a steady, heavy gait. On a road, that slowness becomes dangerous. Vehicle strikes can kill koalas directly, or leave injuries that make climbing, feeding, and escaping harder. Even a surviving animal may be unable to return safely to the canopy if its limbs, jaw, or body are damaged. Suburban edges add more hazards. A koala may climb down into a backyard while moving between trees. It may cross a driveway. It may pass through a fence line. It may encounter a dog. Dogs can injure or kill koalas, especially when a koala is on the ground and cannot climb quickly enough. Even a koala that reaches a tree may be stressed by being chased or trapped near the base. A dog does not need to be wild to be dangerous. A household pet in the wrong place at the wrong moment can become part of the broken landscape. Fences can also matter. A fence may seem harmless from a human view. It is just a boundary. But for a koala moving along the ground, it can become a wall. Some koalas climb fences, but not every fence is easy to cross. Wire, smooth surfaces, sharp tops, locked yards, and narrow gaps can slow movement or force the animal toward roads and dogs. In a continuous forest, the koala's choices are mostly tree choices. Which trunk? Which branch? Which feeding crown? In a human-shaped landscape, those choices become harder. Which gap? Which road edge? Which yard? Which fence? Which tree across the open space? This is especially important for young koalas. After leaving the mother, a young koala must find its own range. That search is natural. It is part of how populations spread and how young animals avoid crowding too closely around their birthplace. But in a fragmented landscape, that normal journey can become dangerous. The young koala may not know where the next useful trees are. It may follow scent, sound, or visible tree lines, only to meet a road or a cleared block. The safest life for a koala is usually above the ground. Not because the canopy is easy, but because the body is made for it. The hands grip, the claws hold, the padded rump rests, the nose reads the leaves, the gut waits for the next slow meal. On the ground, many of those strengths matter less. The koala is still the same animal, but the setting no longer matches the body. A broken corridor pulls a tree animal into a ground world. And each time that happens, the quiet risks multiply. Roads, dogs, fences, heat, stress, and distance all gather around the simple act of moving from one tree to another. The danger outside the body is clear. But some of the pressures on koalas are harder to see, carried not in roads or fences, but in illness, immunity, and the hidden work of cells. The pressure on a koala is not always visible from below. A road can be seen. A fence can be seen. A burned tree can be seen. But some strain moves quietly through the body, where no one watching from the ground would notice it at first. A koala may still climb. It may still sit in the fork of a eucalyptus tree. It may still pull leaves toward its mouth with the same slow care. Yet inside, its body may be working harder than it looks. Koalas can face health problems that affect the eyes, the water-passing system, breeding health, and long-term population strength. One well-known example is chlamydial disease. In koalas, it can damage the eyes, making vision weaker. That matters because a climbing animal needs to judge branches, gaps, bark, and distance. Clear sight is part of safe movement. The same health pressure can affect the urinary tract, which is the body's path for removing liquid waste. When that system is strained, the animal may become weaker and less able to handle heat, travel, or poor feeding conditions. It can also affect breeding. In female koalas, long-lasting internal damage can make it harder to have joeys. That is where a quiet body problem becomes a population problem. One koala may be unwell, but if many females in one area struggle to raise young, fewer joeys enter the trees, fewer young koalas leave the pouch, fewer climb onto their mothers' backs, fewer grow into the next generation. A forest can still hold adult koalas and still be slowly losing its future. There is also koala retrovirus, often called KORV by researchers. This is unusual because some forms of it can be carried in the koala's own inherited material. Inherited material means the biological instructions passed from parents to young. In some koala populations, this hidden viral material is not only something picked up from the outside. It can be passed down through family lines. Scientists study it because it may be linked to immune strength. The immune system is the body's defense network. It helps notice and respond when something harmful enters the body. If that defense is weakened, the animal may have a harder time staying well. This does not mean every koala is affected in the same way. Bodies are not that simple. Age matters. Food quality matters. Heat matters. Stress matters. A koala in a large connected forest with good leaves and safe movement may have more strength to recover from strain. A koala in a broken landscape may have less room to cope. This is where the outside world and the inside body begin to meet. Heat can dry leaves. Drought can reduce water hidden in the food. Roads can force more ground travel. Dogs and fences can add stress. Fire can remove shade and feeding trees. Each pressure may seem separate, but to the koala, they arrive in one body. The same body must digest tough eucalyptus. The same body must stay cool. The same body must move safely. The same body must heal, breed, carry young, and find enough useful leaves. When the forest is strong, the body has more support. When the forest is broken, even a small hidden strain can become heavier. A mother koala with good health, enough food, and safe trees has a better chance of raising a joey. That joey begins as a tiny pink newborn in the pouch. Then it grows fur. Then it peeks out. Then it rides on her back and learns the tree world. But for that small life to continue, the mother must have enough strength, enough milk, enough leaves, enough safe resting places, enough health to carry the next generation into the canopy. So the koala's future is not shaped by one danger alone. It is shaped by many quiet layers. The body, the leaves, the heat, the roads, the trees, the movement between trees, the ability to raise young. And once those layers are seen together, helping koalas becomes more than a simple act of kindness. It becomes a careful effort to understand where they are, what they need, and which hidden patterns in the forest still support them. Helping koalas begins with something very simple and surprisingly difficult. First, people have to find them. A koala can be hard to see even when it is close. It may rest high in a eucalyptus tree, 20 or 30 meters above the ground. Its grey fur can blend into pale bark. Its body may be tucked into a branch fork, with only one rounded ear or one dark nose visible between leaves. And because koalas can stay still for many hours, they do not always give themselves away with movement. A forest may hold koalas and still seem empty to someone walking beneath it. So researchers and wildlife carers learn to read quieter signs. They look at the trees first. Which eucalyptus species grow there? How old the trees are? Whether the canopy connects to nearby patches? Whether there are creek lines, slopes, roads, fences, or houses nearby? Then they look under the trees. Koala droppings, often called scats, are small pellets left on the ground below feeding and resting trees. They can show where koalas have been using the habitat, even if the animal is hidden above. Fresh scats can give clues about recent activity. Older scats can show that a tree has been used before. This kind of ground survey is slow work. People walk in measured patterns. They check the base of tree after tree. They write down tree species, signs of feeding, and the location of any evidence they find. At night or during breeding season, sound can help too. Male koalas make deep bellows that can travel through the forest. The sound is low, rough, and much larger than the animal seems. During the breeding season, often from around late winter into summer, these calls help males advertise their presence and may help females locate them. Listening for bellows can reveal koalas that remain unseen in the dark canopy. Technology adds more tools. Some koalas are fitted with GPS collars. GPS means Global Positioning System. It uses signals from satellites to estimate where something is on Earth. A collar can show where a koala moves over days, weeks, or months. It can reveal which trees are used often. It can show where the animal crosses open ground. It can show whether a road, creek, fence, or cleared strip changes its movement. For an animal that lives slowly, these small paths matter. A few recorded points on a map may become the story of a daily route. A feeding tree at dusk. A resting tree by morning. A crossing point near a road. A hidden corridor along a line of gums. Wildlife cameras can help in places where people cannot watch all night. A camera fixed to a tree can record movement when an animal passes. Some cameras use motion sensors. Others are used near known travel routes, rescue sites, or habitat edges. Drones can help from above. A drone is a small flying machine controlled from the ground. Some carry thermal cameras which detect heat. Because a koala's body is warmer than the air or leaves around it, a thermal camera may help locate a resting animal hidden in the canopy. This can be useful after fires, during surveys, or in difficult terrain, where walking below every tree would take too long. Rescue records also become part of the picture. When a koala is found near a road, brought to a wildlife hospital, released after care, or seen returning to a known tree, that information can help build a larger pattern. Each record is one small piece. A location, a date, a cause of trouble, a tree used for release, a place where animals keep crossing. Habitat mapping pulls these pieces together. Maps can show eucalyptus forest, cleared land, road networks, fire history, watercourses, and known koala sightings. When these layers are placed together, the hidden shape of koala life becomes easier to see. Not perfectly, never completely, but enough to guide better choices. A forest patch may look small on its own, yet become important because it connects two larger areas. A row of trees along a creek may appear ordinary, yet serve as a safe passage. A road crossing may seem random until several koalas are recorded near the same place. Finding koalas is really finding relationships between animals and trees, between trees and soil, between movement and safety, between care and the land that care must return to. Once those patterns become visible, the work points back to the forest itself. The koala can be counted, treated, tracked, and released, but its life still depends on the trees that hold it, feed it, shade it, and connect one quiet part of its world to another. Healing the place where a koala lives begins with the trees. Not just any trees. Suitable eucalyptus trees. Trees that offer the right leaves, the right shade, the right bark, and the right position in the landscape. A koala does not need a forest in a vague way. It needs a working habitat. A habitat is the place where an animal can find the things it needs to live. For a koala, that means food trees for feeding, resting trees for long daylight hours, breeding areas where adults can find one another, safe routes for young koalas leaving their mothers, cooler places during heat, and enough connected canopy that the ground does not become the main road through life. This is why koala conservation often begins with protecting existing eucalyptus woodland. An old feeding tree cannot be replaced quickly. A newly planted seedling may take many years before it has a trunk thick enough, a canopy wide enough, and leaves useful enough for a koala. Some eucalyptus trees can live for decades or even centuries, depending on the species and the conditions around them. A mature tree is not only a future promise. It is shelter and food right now. When one is removed, the loss is immediate for the animal that used it. Planting new trees matters, but keeping old ones matters too. The shape of the forest matters as much as the number of trees. 100 trees scattered far apart may not work as well as a connected strip of woodland. A koala moving through connected trees can stay closer to its strengths. Grip, climb, pause, feed, rest. But when the trees are divided into pieces, the koala must come down. That is where wildlife corridors become important. A corridor is a safe connection between habitat patches. It may be a strip of eucalyptus trees along a creek, a planted line of native trees between two woodlands, a protected patch beside a road, or a restored pathway through farmland where trees are allowed to grow back. For a koala, a corridor can turn isolated green patches into a larger living map. It can give a young animal a safer way to leave its birthplace. It can help males and females find each other during breeding season. It can allow genes to move between groups. Genes are the inherited instructions passed from parents to young. When populations stay connected, they can keep more genetic variety. That variety can help animals cope with disease, climate stress, and changing conditions over time. Crossings can help too. In some places, wildlife underpasses, overpasses, fencing, and tree plantings are used to guide animals away from dangerous road surfaces. An underpass is a passage beneath a road. An overpass is a bridge above it. These structures are not magic solutions by themselves. They work best when they connect real habitat on both sides and when animals are guided toward them. But they show an important idea. The land can be shaped in ways that reduce danger instead of adding to it. Conservation also has to work in layers. A koala population may need disease care. It may need chlamydia vaccination. It may need rescue after fire. It may need shade during heat waves. It may need protection from dogs in suburban areas. It may need slower traffic near known crossing zones. It may need trees planted now that will become useful years from now. None of these pieces replaces the others. They fit together like branches in the same canopy. The koala's life has taught us that already. Its food is connected to its gut. Its gut is connected to its rest. Its rest is connected to the tree fork. The tree fork is connected to the forest. The forest is connected to rain, heat, disease, roads, and safe movement. Nothing stands alone. Even a single mother with a joey on her back carries this whole system quietly with her. She needs enough leaves to make milk, enough strength to climb, enough health to raise the young, enough connected trees for the joey to grow into its own life. The joey's future begins in the pouch, but it continues in the landscape. Saving the animal means saving the path it must follow. From pouch to back, from back to branch, from branch to leaf, from leaf to forest. By now, the koala in the eucalyptus tree no longer looks like a simple sleepy animal. It looks like the visible center of many quiet connections. A grey body resting in a fork of bark. A specialist shaped by one difficult food. A climber held by claws and fingerprints. A slow digester helped by microbes. A creature cooled by trunks, watered by leaves, threatened by broken ground, and protected only when the forest around it can still hold together. And so the koala returns to the quiet image from the beginning. A grey body resting in the fork of a eucalyptus tree. Large ears softened by fur. A dark nose lowered toward the leaves. Curved claws holding bark without effort. At first, it may have looked like a simple sleepy animal. But now, that stillness carries more meaning. The koala is not a bear. It is a marsupial. Born tiny and unfinished, no larger than a jelly bean, then raised in the warm shelter of a pouch. It is part of an old Australian branch of mammals, closer in its deeper family story to wombats, kangaroos, and possums than to any true bear. Its life begins hidden, then slowly moves outward. From pouch to mother's back, to branch to leaf. And the leaf becomes almost the center of everything. Eucalyptus leaves look simple from below, but they are a difficult food. They are fibrous, low in quick energy, filled with strong oils, and protected by plant chemicals that many animals avoid. The koala survives on them because its body has become deeply fitted to the task. Its teeth grind the leaves. Its long caecum gives microbes time to break down tough fiber. Its liver helps handle the sharp chemistry of eucalyptus. Its nose and tongue help it choose carefully. Its slow rhythm gives digestion the time it needs. What once looked like laziness becomes energy care. A koala rests for long hours because its food gives energy slowly. The body saves movement because every climb, every crossing, every search for a better tree has a cost. the animal's quiet life is not empty. It is full of work happening softly beneath the fur. Fermentation in the gut, leaf choice in the senses, heat moving from body to bark, moisture drawn from green tissue, a mother making milk for a joey, a young koala learning the shape of branches beneath its paws. Even the hands tell part of the story. The curved claws grip the tree. The split front digits hold branches from different sides. The paw pads carry fingerprint-like ridges, strange and familiar, helping turn touch into information. The koala does not simply sit in the forest. It reads the forest through smell, taste, grip, heat, and movement. A branch can be a pathway. A fork can be a bed. A trunk can be a cooler surface on a hot day. A leaf can be food, water, chemistry, and risk all at once. The forest around the koala now feels less like background and more like a living system. The right eucalyptus trees must grow in the right places. Those trees must stay connected enough for young koalas to leave their mothers and find their own ranges. They must offer shade during heat, leaves during dry times, and safe passage through a landscape broken by roads, fences, farms, towns, and fire. When the forest dries, the leaves may still look green while holding less moisture. When fire passes through, the trunks may stand while the canopy no longer gives food or shelter. When roads cut through habitat, a tree animal is pulled down to the ground. And when hidden health pressures weaken bodies already strained by heat and distance, the whole population can become more fragile. This is what the koala has slowly taught us. It is a marsupial, not a bear. It is a specialist, not a generalist. It lives on eucalyptus, but not just any eucalyptus. It rests because digestion is slow. It climbs because its body is built for bark. It chooses leaves because the wrong meal can cost too much. It depends on moisture hidden in green tissue, shade held by trunks, and corridors of trees that let one patch of forest reach another. The koala is small enough to fit in the fork of a tree, yet its life reaches outward into soil, rain, heat, fire, microbes, mothers, joeys, roads, and maps. So now, when you picture it resting there, the image is fuller. The koala is not doing nothing. It is holding a quiet balance, a balance between sleep and digestion, between leaves and chemistry, between heat and shade, between one tree and the next, between the hidden life of the body and the visible life of the forest. And as the night settles around that final image, the koala remains where it has been all along, high in the eucalyptus branches, soft against the bark, breathing slowly, carrying in its still grey body the story of an entire fragile forest.